Just about exactly 150 years ago, the attention of the whole world was focused on this corner of Spotsylvania County, where about 200,000 men fought one of the crucial battles of the American Civil War. On the evening of the 2nd of May at 5:15 or so, old time, Stonewall Jackson's corps, which had marched all the way across the horizon, across about 2/3 of the arc of the compass, had formed line behind the unsuspecting Federal 11th Corps, 1,000 yards or so off to the west from this knoll, and come charging out of the woods. As they swept the Federals before them, the Georgians, who were on just the other side of the Orange Turnpike under George Doles, attacked down across the Tally Farm, just behind me here, which has recently been saved by the National Civil War Trust. And when they came through the Tally Farm, they arrived down on the slope behind me, where the Central Virginia Battlefields Trust has recently acquired a tract and is in the process of destroying a modern intrusion, which you can see in the background. That'll be going down next week to our delight, restoring the historic scene. The preservation of this site, which 20 years ago was completely unaccomplished, there was nothing preserved out here 20 years ago, has moved through a series of National Park Service acquisitions. The Fredericksburg-based Central Virginia Battlefield Trust has acquired several tracts of land, including the one where the demolition is about to get underway. And we're making major progress on this key site. An interesting event within the last couple of weeks that ties together soldiers from two different centuries bears upon all of this. A 28-year-old Georgian named James Bullard, who was with Doles just a few yards behind me, coming down that side of the road, was hit in the leg badly enough that surgeons amputated his leg. Just a couple of weeks ago at an auction in Macon, Georgia, an obscure little pamphlet listing all of the maimed soldiers, as the title called them, in Georgia who'd been given artificial limbs, included Bullard's name. There was no unit with it. But I sent it off to a friend of the Central Virginia Battlefield Trust named Johnny Pearson, who is an expert on the 12th Georgia. He's published a book, Johnny has, comprised of letters from the 12th Georgia. And I knew he was interested in Putnam County soldiers, so I sent him a list of those fellows, and there was James Bullard's name. He figured out he belonged to the 12th, found his service record, talked about his leg being amputated here, and this all brings the centuries together because Johnny Pearson, the modern historian of the 12th Georgia, himself lost a leg in Vietnam just about 100 years after James Bullard. In his book about the 12th Georgia, he has given all of the royalties to the Central Virginia Battlefield Trust to help save this land. So that ties two soldiers who lost legs in war, very different wars, 100 years apart, together. A nice ending for this story is that James Bullard of the 12th Georgia went home with the artificial leg supplied by the state to him. He farmed in Putnam County and survived the Battle of Chancellorsville just about exactly 30 years. So he did far better than many of the other men who were killed or mortally wounded in Jackson's flank attack on both sides on the 2nd of May in 1863. With help from Johnny Pearson and his book royalties and everyone else who belongs to the Central Virginia Battlefields Trust who cares about the Civil War, we're saving this land, we're removing the intrusions, and we intend to leave it to posterity as hallowed ground. Saving this land, buying it, preserving it for posterity has involved a great many people, institutions, organizations. The National Park Service, of course, has primary responsibility. The Central Virginia Battlefield Trust, who I'm representing today, the Civil War Trust, and others. A great many people have helped us with it. There have been grants involved, but for the demolition of this horribly intrusive modern structure, we have no grants, no federal funds, no state funds. We have to rely on our friends. And so we need to do, all of us, our level best to raise the money to accomplish this important task.